The truth about Luffy's mother has been sitting right in front of us, hidden in plain sight, and what Oda's doing might be his boldest twist yet. Oda has kept one of the most personal details of Luffy's life completely in the shadows. No name, no face, not even a single memory. But here's the catch. What if he's already shown us everything we needed to know? And we just missed it? From cryptic SBS comments to characters who feel way too important to be background, this theory might flip how you see Luffy's entire origin. And yeah, some of these clues are kind of wild. We are now deep into the Elbaf arc, and every single chapter is starting to feel like a countdown, like Oda's winding up a spring that's been coiled for over 2 decades. You can feel it, right? That creeping sensation that something massive is about to be unleashed. The world is shifting, the secrets are bubbling to the surface, and at this point, every fan knows we're in the final saga, and Oda's not holding back anymore. He's peeling back the layers piece by piece. The Void Century, the ancient weapons, Emu, Joy Boy, it's all coming. But here's the thing that always gets overlooked. While the fandom gets caught up in the cosmic scale mysteries, there's one very personal mystery that's still wide open, and that's Luffy's mom. Yep, our rubber-brained, meat-obsessed, gear fifth-hopping protagonist has one of the most important family gaps in the entire series. We know his dad is Dragon. We know his grandfather is Garp, but his mother? Not even a name. No silhouette, nothing. Just an empty space. And that silence that's loud in One Piece. But here's where it gets interesting. Because Oda might have already shown us Luffy's mom without anyone realizing it. And what I'm about to tell you changes the way you look at several older moments in the story. But that's just the beginning. If you've been following One Piece long enough, then you already know Oda doesn't drop big reveals in the obvious way. He seeds them, quietly, casually, sometimes in a flashback, sometimes in a line of dialogue that seems irrelevant until 400 chapters later. He plays the long game. And this whole mystery mom situation? Yeah, it fits that exact pattern. Because Oda has answered questions about Luffy's mother before, but only in interviews, SBS corners, or throwaway comments. In one SBS, someone asked what she looked like. Oda laughed it off, said she was alive, and then implied she wasn't a beautiful woman in the traditional anime sense. He even added she wasn't going to be a significant character. Which, come on, when has Oda ever said something wasn't important? Only for it to turn out to be extremely important later. Now here's where things start getting really weird. There have been a few background characters, a few offhand references, and even a few specific mothers of other characters that fans have started to re-examine closely. Some people believe Luffy's mother may have been tied to the Celestial Dragons. Others think she may be from the Goa Kingdom, but part of the lower caste. And then there's the really wild one. Some fans genuinely believe Oda may have already shown us Luffy's mother way back in the early chapters. And once you hear the theory, it kind of makes sense. This next part might actually blow your mind. There's the idea that she was once part of the Revolutionary Army, possibly someone who had to give up Luffy as part of a mission, or worse, was believed to be dead and wasn't. Some have even speculated she might be a powerful figure like Emu, or connected to the world government in a way that would blow Luffy's entire heritage wide open. But the wildest speculation? Some fans genuinely believe Luffy's mother might have had ties to Joy Boy, or even the original Nika, making Luffy's Gear 5 transformation not just destiny, but literally inherited. Again, all speculation, but the pieces line up just enough to make your brain itch. And when you factor in how closely Luffy resembles the sun god imagery, you start wondering if his mother's bloodline has something to do with that too. And that brings us to the next mystery, one even deeper. Let's just ask the obvious question. Why would Oda hide Luffy's mother for over 1,000 chapters? What narrative purpose does that serve? It's not just for drama. It has to be something that would fundamentally change how we see Luffy. Because if she was just some normal person from East Blue, there's no reason to hide her. So her identity is tied to one of the world's biggest factions. Or her existence is dangerous in some way. Think about how Luffy's lineage is already stacked. Dragon, Garp, and potentially Joy Boy or Nika through his devil fruit. If his mom added yet another explosive bloodline to that mix, maybe something connected to the Celestial Dragons, or the D-Clan, or the Mother Flame experiments, it would make Luffy a walking contradiction to everything the world government stands for. Her identity might be the final puzzle piece, the one that shows why the world government has always feared Luffy so much, even before they knew about the Nika fruit. And if that's true, then the day Oda finally reveals her, yeah, it won't just be emotional, it'll be world-shattering. And one final clue might already be hiding in Elbaf right now. The first time fans even realized Luffy had parents was after Eni's lobby. when Garp casually dropped the bombshell that Luffy's dad was none other than Dragon, the world's most dangerous criminal. Yeah, zero buildup, zero foreshadowing, just a quiet, by the way. And yet that moment changed everything. But even in that huge reveal, Oda said nothing about Luffy's mom. Not a single word. And you can bet fans noticed that immediately. So, of course, people asked him directly, and you'd think he'd give a clear answer, right? Nope. Instead, in classic Oda fashion, he gave a weird, almost playful response that felt like it was hiding something. In another interview, he said if she ever appears in the story, she'll be a tough-looking woman, very strict. He even mentioned she'd have typical middle-aged woman's permed hair. Which, okay? That's either the biggest troll answer ever, or it's Oda throwing a disguise over something important. And honestly, knowing Oda, it's probably both. But this next part takes things to a whole other level. Let's again talk about Dragon and his past. The idea here is that Luffy's mom hasn't shown up yet, and Oda is just waiting for the perfect moment to drop her into the story. Maybe in Dragon's flashback. Maybe during the final war. Maybe when the world government's secrets come crashing down. We know Luffy's birth hasn't been shown. We haven't seen how Dragon became a revolutionary. Those two gaps, they're connected. And the moment we finally see Dragon and Luffy interact face to face, there's a very good chance Oda reveals the truth about her. And if she's involved in Dragon's origin, maybe as a comrade, a civilian he tried to save, or even someone with ties to the Celestial Dragons, then her reveal might explain why the government feared Luffy long before he even got the Nika fruit. Like, what if her identity is the key that ties everything together? But here's where things get even more interesting, because the second possibility flips the whole question on its head. What if we've already met Luffy's mom and just didn't realize it? And this idea is way more personal than you might expect. Some fans believe Luffy's mother has already been in the story for years, and her name is Curly Dadan. Yep, the bandit from Mount Kalubo who took care of Luffy, Ace, and Sabo. Now, before you roll your eyes and dismiss it, hear this out. The logic isn't that she's Luffy's biological mother, but that Oda never intended to show Luffy's biological mother at all. In fact, he's hinted at this directly. In an old interview, Oda said something that makes you pause. When it comes to families in One Piece, blood doesn't matter. He literally said that in the context of Nico Robin's backstory, where he showed a biological mother for the first time, but then emphasized that most of the mothers in the series are not blood-related. Think about Chopper and Doctorine. Think about Sanji and Zeph. Think about Ace, Garp, and even the pirate crews treating each other as family. In that same quote, Oda said something huge. He said, "There were cases where you call someone who's not blood-related your mother. I've put in a message there that you can still call someone family even without blood." That's not just a comment. That's a storytelling philosophy. And Dadan? She raised Luffy when nobody else did. She protected him. She took beatings for him. She cried when Ace died. She was there when it mattered most. If Oda never shows Luffy's biological mom, it won't be because he forgot. It'll be because he already showed us the real mother figure in his life. And that changes how you view Luffy's entire childhood. But there's still one last piece of the puzzle we can't ignore. Now that One Piece is officially in its final saga, and we're already waist-deep into the Elbaf arc, this isn't just a fun little theory anymore. This is something Oda has to address before the story ends. Because whether it's a full reveal of her identity, a name drop during Dragon's flashback, or just a symbolic confirmation that Luffy never needed a biological mom to have a real family, this is one of those questions that fans have carried for decades. And with the themes of lineage, inherited will, and chosen family all reaching their peak, especially with the reveal of Nika and Luffy's place in the world, it feels like the story is building towards something deeply personal, something emotional, something about where Luffy really comes from. Not just biologically, but spiritually, whether we meet her face to face or realize we've known her all along. Her presence or her absence might be the final key that completes Luffy's story. And with Oda, nothing is ever just random. You know, it's funny how in a world as massive and wild as One Piece with sky islands and giants and ancient gods, one of the most mysterious, talked about topics is something as simple and grounded as a missing mom. But that's what makes this story so different. It's not just about punching villains or finding treasure, it's about legacy, family, and that quiet space between blood and bond. And whether Oda chooses to introduce Luffy's biological mom or not kind of says a lot about what he values most in this story. I've seen fans go back and forth on this for years. Some people desperately want that big reveal, like she's some secret celestial dragon or a major revolutionary figure, and honestly, I get it. We all want that massive aha moment that ties everything together and changes how we see the story. But others, they're totally fine if we never see her, because to them, Dadan was enough. Makino was enough. Heck, even Ace, Sabo, and the entire Straw Hat crew, they were more than enough. And maybe that's the point. Because in One Piece, family isn't defined by bloodlines or titles or ancient secrets. It's defined by who shows up for you, who fights for you, who believes in you. That's been Luffy's real inheritance this whole time. Not some god fruit or royal blood, but love, loyalty, will. So yeah, maybe we will see Luffy's mom in some huge dramatic flashback that rewrites everything. Or maybe we already have and just didn't know it. Or maybe Oda's been telling us all along that we don't need to see her. Because Luffy already had a mother. He just called her by a different name. And if that's not peak One Piece storytelling, I don't know what is. But what do you think? Is Oda saving her for a final twist? Or has she been hiding in plain sight this whole time?